Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo, and welcome to my scrapbook table. Today I am documenting some photos from last summer's vacation, and this specifically is our anniversary dinner at the Gun Barrel Steak and Game Restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming. I have these buffalo that I cut out on my silhouette, which I'll tell you about a little bit later, but this represents a victory to me to be able to cut those out. I'm using this sketch from Page Maps. It's their double page sketch from January of 2023. This gorgeous paper, both of these sheets are from Elizabeth Craft Designs. They're just beautiful. This wood grain is Simple Stories. There's a grid on the back, which I'll use the grid for my journaling at the end. So I've created my background here, and now I need to add this white layer inside, which means I'm going to cover up so much of that gorgeous paper that I did end up gutting that paper, and so that I can save that and use it in another project. So there you can see that I gut it and the leftovers are there. That's too pretty to just completely cover up. And soon you'll see that, there we go, I have matted all my photos in that white cardstock. And that's basil cardstock, and it's called white, but to me it doesn't look white. It's kind of between, if you're familiar with Stampin' Up's Whisper White, and they're very vanilla, it's kind of between those. And I like it for a lot of collections that I don't want to use a stark white with. And so now I'm thinking about what I'm going to use between the white and the photographs on the left hand side. On the right you can see that I just backed that whole photo block, or all four of those photos, as one block on a dark brown basil cardstock. I fiddle for quite a bit about where to put my pictures. It does take me a while to decide that. This whole layout took a while. I did it in bits and pieces instead of just one or two sessions to work on it. I had, maybe half an hour here, 40 minutes there, over the course of several days. So that's part of why this video is so choppy, because I would pick up a day or so later. And this restaurant was a very good choice. We were really happy with it, and the food was amazing. And now I have that print with the blue on the far left, and I decided I wanted to bring a little bit of that blue to the far right. Some of the photos have a little bit of a blue cast to them because of the metal that was in the restaurant, and also my husband's shirt appears blue in the photo, though actually it was more of a greenish color, but that's how it looks in the picture. So I tore a strip of the paper that would have that blue, and I put it at the bottom of this photo block. And a little bit of the white was showing that I didn't really want to show, so I just took this VersaFine Clair Morning Mist and inked the bottom edge of that. And then I decided, well, since I have a torn edge on the right, I need a torn edge on the left. So I tear this far edge, and it takes me a little bit because I had to be real careful. I don't have any extra paper. I really wish I had cut this piece, left it half an inch larger. But I do get it, and then I ink the edge of that as well. So for those buffalo, I have been having trouble with my silhouette for months. I have done many searches, I have watched countless videos, and I would buy a design, download it, and couldn't keep going. Now, anything I already had downloaded I could cut and use easily. I contacted their help desk, I had emails back and forth, and just every time I would end up so frustrated that I just put it away. And this is ridiculous. I have this wonderful, pricey tool that I could do so much with. I had to figure it out. So I decided, I think it was Saturday, I did some searching again, and I must have just used different terms enough that something different came up, and it was as simple as logging out and re-logging into my account, and that fixed the issue. So I was very happy that I could finally cut these buffalo and some other things, some other new things that I because I had cut one buffalo before, but then it just was not working. And so I cut those buffalo out of black cardstock, and then I took some children's watercolors that are glittery, just from Hobby Lobby, and I painted over the black with kind of a coppery color. And then once that dried, which took a while, once that dried, I topped it with Vintage Photo Distress Oxide, which rubbed off some of the glitteriness but kept the pretty copper color, and the result is just really pretty. The black shows through just like on the real buffalo or bison that you'll see in the picture. I hope in the close-ups you can tell how pretty they are. I was really happy with how they turned out. They look much nicer than they would have had I left them stark black. I'm placing this photo and the buffalo on it strategically because there's a family sitting just below the bottom right corner of that buffalo picture, and I wanted to cover those up. I didn't want that in fact, it almost looks like a photograph you would see like in a travel magazine of this family sitting enjoying this restaurant. And I didn't want that in my scrapbook. So now I'm finally gluing down these buffalo. That there's a big story behind those buffalo. I'm happy to finally get them on a page. Another reason I think this layout took me so long is, I'm sure I'm not the only person that does this, but I wanted the layout to do the photos justice because this was such a special day for us, and this trip was amazing. This day had been amazing. It was our anniversary. We often don't get to celebrate our anniversary on our anniversary, so that was really nice, and the meal was just wonderful, and it was just a special time that I wanted to document, so I wanted the page to evoke the memory of that day. Now I'm going through this is actually Simple Vintage Lakeside collection, and going through, not that we're at a lake on this day, but there are some things in here that fit the mood and feel of this layout. So I'm going through and cutting out some word labels. I cut out kind of a shelf thing, a couple tabs. One of the tabs says captured, and I cut out a blue tab also to put behind it, even though whatever words were on the blue had nothing to do with it. I just needed the blue color to stick out a little bit. So that's what I'm doing there. And Simple Stories, if you've ever looked at their sticker books, they have these they almost look like a little shelf thing. And so I cut out one of those too, and it says Where We Belong. And this little brown sign that says Right Here. And I cut out a circle or two. And I did end up using both. As I look at the finished layout, I think the right hand page needs a little more embellishment. I may go back and add something to that, especially at the bottom right. I did write the date and where we were there, but I think I need to add something, so I'll probably go back and do that once this video is completed. I'm cutting away the white so that I can lay these down and see them. Some of the Simple Story stickers have a white edge around them. Sometimes that doesn't bother me, but I didn't want that white edge on these, so I'm taking the time to trim that edge off. And also you'll see I didn't create a title for this page, but I had a picture that we took of the sign out front, and I thought, wait a minute, that's the perfect title. So I just trimmed it out. I backed it with brown cardstock and then put a couple layers of scrap cardstock on the back of it to give it a little bit of dimension. And that photo is serving as my title. I was really happy to use some of this Elizabeth Craft Designs papers. I've had it for over a year and used very little simply because it's so pretty. I don't want to cover it up, but I know that's just silly. So I did pull it out and use it here, and I'm going to keep it out for a little while to encourage me to find some pages to go with it, photographs to go with it, and get it used. It's just gorgeous. Having trouble getting that tab where I need it, so pulled out my trusty tweezers, and that helped. And it might appear that there's not enough room for journaling here, but I created a long column of journaling, which you'll see in just a moment, that's going to go on the far left and be tucked in to the left of the photos. Oddly enough, when I was filming, I filmed where I wrote the rough draft on scrap paper and did not film the parts where I wrote it on the real paper. So if you notice a discrepancy between the size of what I'm writing on and the size of what ends up on the layout, that's why. Also, I apologize for the glare on that left page. I should have put a filter on my light that was glaring there. I didn't notice it until it was too late. So this is the back of the wood grain paper. It has a grid on it, and I'm going to use that for my journaling. I love journaling on grid or lined paper or a ledger type thing, because then I don't have to try to keep it straight. I have the lines there to use, and that helps me. So that's where my journaling is going to go. And I'll go ahead and read that to you. It says, as soon as I started planning this trip, we knew we wanted to go to a restaurant that featured bison and other game meats. The Gun Barrel had great reviews, so we decided to make reservations there for our anniversary dinner, and it did not disappoint. My bison prime rib was beyond delicious, and Dan really enjoyed a platter with prime rib, elk tenderloin, and venison sausage. We had decadent chocolate cake for dessert. It was a special way to celebrate our 34 years together. And that's where you can see I'm writing it out. This was just my rough draft so that I didn't mess up on the piece that I had cut to actually be on the layout. And there I'm thinking, I think I crossed some things out and go back. Yes. I decide to reword it a bit. But it worked out just right. I just had to trim a little bit off the end, and the journaling fits nicely. I was a little concerned that I wouldn't get it all on there because I wasn't typing, which I guess I could have, but I wanted my handwriting on this page. And if you're ever in Jackson, Wyoming, and you want some amazing bison prime rib, go to the Gun Barrel. It was delicious. Sadly, we will probably never be back there, but it was a wonderful dinner. Our server was kind enough to take a photograph of us for our anniversary, so that was very nice too. And I'm just about done here. You'll see the final journaling in the close-ups, which are coming in just a second. And this is where I believe I accidentally turned off my camera and didn't film what I wanted. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.